Something big just happened in British politics, something that could shake up the entire election timeline. In a move no one saw coming, several Labour MPs have officially left the party and joined the Reform UK party. That's right. Members of Parliament who once stood under the red Labour banner have crossed over to Reform, a party rising fast with voters frustrated by the political status quo. And it didn't happen quietly. It was announced just minutes ago, and it's already causing chaos behind closed doors. The names of the defecting MPs are starting to emerge. Among them are longtime Labour backbenchers and influential regional representatives. These aren't random members, some of them had direct access to Starmer's leadership circle. According to internal reports, at least 3 MPs submitted resignation letters early this morning. Just hours later, Reform UK welcomed them publicly, calling them brave patriots for making what the party calls the right choice for Britain's future. One of the defectors, whose identity is still unconfirmed but was last seen at a recent Reform town hall event, reportedly cited Labour's soft stance on national security and border control as a key reason for the move. Another MP, who represented a northern constituency once considered a Labour stronghold, shared on social media that the party had lost touch with working-class voters and was drifting too far from reality. The Reform Party didn't waste any time. Richard Tice, the Reform chairman, appeared live just minutes after the news broke. Standing next to 2 of the defecting MPs, he praised their courage to act and said this is just the beginning. Britain is waking up, Tice declared. And many in Westminster are feeling the pressure. Behind the scenes, the Reform Party has reportedly been in quiet talks with MPs from both Labour and the Conservatives, looking to expand its numbers. Before the next election, even if it comes sooner than expected, back inside Labour HQ, the reaction was fast but reserved. Keir Starmer's spokesperson released a short statement calling the defections disappointing and unhelpful to the larger mission of building a fairer country. But the silence from top figures says more than words. Sources close to the leadership team say emergency meetings are being held tonight, with fears of further resignations spreading across party ranks. This isn't just a party losing a few members. It's a sign that something deeper is happening, something that could change how the next election is fought, and who controls the narrative. If even a few MPs are willing to switch to a smaller but more aggressive party like Reform, it shows that the political landscape is far more unstable than anyone thought just yesterday. And the public? They're watching closely. Some are cheering the move. Others are stunned. For now, one thing is certain, this story is far from over. And tonight, Westminster is anything but calm. The big question everyone is asking now is, why? Why would sitting Labour MPs risk their careers, abandon a party poised to win the next general election, and join Reform UK, a party once dismissed as fringe? The answer is more complex than party loyalty. It's rooted in deep dissatisfaction with Labour's direction under Keir Starmer and growing pressure from voters who feel abandoned by the mainstream. Many of these defecting MPs represent areas that once formed Labour's backbone, the so-called Red Wall seats in the North and Midlands. These are working-class communities hit hard by years of economic decline, high immigration, and what some describe as a political elite that doesn't listen. Since Brexit, many of these voters have shifted their views on national identity, on border control, on crime, and Reform UK has been speaking their language far more clearly than Labour. Behind closed doors, several Labour MPs have reportedly been warning Starmer's team for months. They expressed frustration over the party's unclear position on immigration, the lack of bold policies for struggling communities, and what they saw as an overpolished, consultant-driven message that didn't connect with real people. One MP who defected was quoted saying, "It's all about media soundbites now. We're not solving real problems anymore. We're just trying not to offend anyone." Another growing concern was the party's handling of law and order. In recent months, there has been a noticeable rise in public concern over street crime, gang violence, and antisocial behavior. Some MPs argued that Labour's response to these issues felt weak and slow. Reform UK, on the other hand, has pushed a tough on-crime agenda, calling for stronger police powers and quicker sentencing, messages that are resonating with frustrated voters. But it wasn't just about policy. One source claims that personal tensions within the party leadership have also been boiling over. Backbench MPs reportedly felt shut out from major decisions, as Starmer's team focused on polishing Labour's national image to appeal to middle class. Swing voters, many long-serving MPs in working-class constituencies, felt ignored. The growing distance between Westminster leadership and on-the-ground party workers created an internal rift that some say has now burst wide open, but there's also the Farage factor. With Nigel Farage's return to active politics and his alignment with Reform UK, the party's visibility has skyrocketed. Farage, known for his direct speaking style and anti-establishment messaging, has tapped into the same energy that powered Brexit, and it's attracting attention from across the political spectrum. Some defecting MPs reportedly held private meetings with reform strategists weeks ago, gauging the risks and opportunities of a switch. For them, the gamble now seems worth it. Publicly, these MPs are framing their move as a return to honest politics. They claim they've had enough of spin, of party orders, of towing the line. In Reform, they say, they've found a platform that allows them to speak plainly and put constituents first. Whether that's political truth or calculated messaging is up for debate, but it's a message that's already grabbing headlines. The defections also come at a time when Labour is riding high in the polls, making the timing even more dramatic. It signals that, despite strong numbers on paper, cracks are forming underneath. For some MPs, staying with Labour felt like betraying their voters. For others, it may simply be a strategic bet on Reform's growing momentum. Either way, this isn't a fluke. It's a warning shot. And for Keir Starmer, the clock is now ticking faster than ever. The sudden defections have done more than rattle the Labour Party, they've reignited serious talk of a snap election across Westminster. Political insiders are now asking, is the government preparing for an early vote? And more urgently, can either Labour or the Tories afford to wait? Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has been under pressure to call a general election, with rumours swirling for months about a possible late 2024 or early 2025 date. But these Labour defections may change the calculation. A weakened Labour front, combined with Reform UK's rising profile and growing dissatisfaction among core voters, could push Downing Street to strike while confusion still grips the opposition. For Labour, the optics are dangerous. The party has spent the past year carefully rebuilding its image, aiming to look stable, electable, and in full control. The sudden loss of MPs to a rival party, especially one seen as disruptive and anti-establishment, sends the exact opposite signal. Even if the numbers seem small now, the psychological effect on voters is huge. It raises questions about unity, loyalty, and whether Labour is truly ready to govern, and that brings us to a bigger problem for Starmer. A snap election might now be out of his control. If pressure mounts from within Parliament, or if public sentiment starts swinging, especially in key marginal seats, the government could seize the moment to force Labour into a high-stakes race before it's fully ready. Already, Conservative MPs are quietly suggesting this moment may be the open window they've been waiting for. Political analysts are divided. Some believe that Reform UK's impact will hurt the Conservatives more by splitting the right-wing vote. Others argue that a fractured Labour Party now looks vulnerable to both Reform and the Tories. In this scenario, Starmer is fighting on two fronts, trying to hold off the Conservatives from the right while also preventing Reform from poaching working-class voters in traditional Labour areas. Polling firms like YouGov and Ipsos are now rushing out flash surveys to gauge how voters feel about the defections. Early results suggest a spike in support for Reform UK, especially among undecided voters and former Brexit Party supporters. If that trend continues, it may force all major parties to adjust their strategies, including how and when they want the next election to happen. Within Labour, there are signs of panic. Whips are reportedly contacting backbenchers to assess loyalty. Some MPs are now demanding Starmer address the situation directly in Parliament, or risk looking weak. At the same time, party insiders worry that trying to clamp down too hard might push more MPs out the door. Meanwhile, over at Conservative HQ, senior strategists are rerunning their electoral models. If Reform continues to grow, it could spoil dozens of Tory-held seats by splitting votes on the right. But if Labour stumbles badly in the next few weeks, the Tories may feel emboldened to go for a snap election and use reform's momentum as a political distraction rather than a direct threat. Then there's the wild card, Nigel Farage. His role in all this cannot be overstated. If Farage continues to campaign aggressively, rallying public anger around immigration, crime, and the cost of living, he could shape the narrative of any early election. That would be dangerous not only for Labour, but for the Tories as well. In this unstable moment, every party is watching the calendar and the headlines. A few more defections, a few more poll drops, and the snap election that once seemed unlikely might become the only way out of the crisis. The big question now, who's ready for it? This isn't just another day of political drama, it's the start of a possible chain reaction. With multiple Labour MPs already gone and more reportedly considering a similar move, the stability of both major parties is now under threat. The next few days will be critical. What happens next could shape not just the next election, but the future of British politics. First, all eyes are on Keir Starmer. His leadership is now facing its biggest internal challenge yet. If more MPs defect, especially if they are well-known or from Labour's traditional heartlands, it could trigger a wider crisis of confidence within the party. Starmer will be forced to either take a hard line, perhaps expelling any member even flirting with reform, or work overtime to heal deep fractures within his ranks. Either path carries serious political risks. Reports from inside Labour HQ suggest that senior advisors are scrambling to prepare a damage control plan. One idea being discussed is to fast-track policy announcements aimed at shoring up support in key areas where Reform UK is gaining traction. Expect new pledges on immigration, crime, and economic revival in the coming days, designed to win back voters and quiet down rebellious MPs. Meanwhile, Reform UK is gaining momentum and attention. Media outlets are shifting coverage toward the party, treating it less like a fringe player and more like a growing force. Nigel Farage is using every opportunity to stir the pot, promising more big names to join reform soon. And that promise alone is enough to keep both Labour and Conservative leaders awake at night. Over in Conservative territory, things are no less tense. While the Labour defections seem like good news at first glance, the Tories know they're not immune. Rumours are already circulating that a few disillusioned Conservative MPs are also in quiet talks with reform. If that happens, it would shatter the idea that this is just Labour's crisis. It would become a full-scale political revolt. There's also growing speculation that Farage may try to run in the next general election himself. If he does, and if he chooses a highly symbolic seat, like one previously held by a senior Tory or Labour figure, it could light another fire under the establishment parties. For now, Farage hasn't confirmed it. But his silence speaks volumes. Then there's the snap election question. Rishi Sunak may now find himself under pressure to act. If the opposition looks unstable and reform hasn't yet built enough national infrastructure to contest hundreds of seats, calling a quick election could catch both off guard. But that's a risky move, especially if public anger over the cost of living, NHS delays, and housing issues turns against the government. The next 72 hours will be critical. Will more MPs defect? Will Starmer fight back or stay quiet? Will Sunak gamble on an early vote? And will Reform UK manage to turn a few high-profile wins into lasting political influence? For now, one thing is clear, the old lines in British politics are breaking. Voters are restless, MPs are shifting, and party leaders are under siege from forces they no longer control. What began as a few quiet resignations could soon become a national political earthquake. Stay tuned, because the story isn't slowing down.